So you're thinking of making Montgomery County, Maryland your home, and you want to find the most walkable area. So when you come home, everything you need is right there. Well, we're going to talk about all of that and we're going to get into it right now. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Brittany Stinney. I'm a realtor proudly serving the DMV area. And today we are going to focus on a beautiful part of Maryland, and that is Montgomery County, Maryland. Now, Montgomery County is actually one of the largest counties, but today we're not just going to talk about all of it. We are going to focus on the areas you might want to call your home if you're specifically looking for a walkable community. Now, before we get into it in full depth, make sure you turn on your notifications, hit that subscribe button, because today we're talking about Montgomery County, but who knows where we're going to be next, and whether you are looking to move in the next 9 days or even the next 90 days, or even if you're just trying to plan, right, to figure out where should I move when I come to that area, go ahead and see my contact information, call, email, text, or let's hop on a virtual call and let's talk about what it is you're looking for. And now that you know what to do and how to reach out, let's talk about the most walkable areas in Montgomery County, Maryland. Matter to even think about walkable areas. Well, this might be more so if you're looking somewhere where like maybe you don't want to have a car, or you don't have a car, or you want the option to not need your car. And so that's why today in this video we're focusing on the most walkable cities in Montgomery County, Maryland, and we're going to look at everything from Takoma Park to just the energy of downtown Silver Spring, urban vibe of Pike and Rose. And we're going to talk about all that, not only looking at the community features but also the walkability score, vibe, and even the housing types and typical housing prices. And then because we're in the DMV, the first letter in the DMV stands for DC. So it's important to think of how close are you to DC, right? So let's start off by talking about, what does walkable mean? Now, when I think walkable, I personally think when I come out of my house, how quickly is it going to take, or how quickly can I get to restaurants and amenities, right? That's my personal definition, but for the purpose of this video, let's define it. And this is actually from walkscore.com, but what walkscore does is it ranges from 0 to 100 based on how easy it is to do daily errands on foot, such as like going to the grocery store, schools, parks, and all that, and the street grid, right? So let's break down those scores specifically. 90 to 100 is considered like walker's paradise, right? No car needed. Now 70 to 89 is very walkable, so you could do a lot of errands on foot, but you might need your car. 50 to 69 is considered somewhat walkable, so you could walk to some things. And then 25 to 49 is a little more car dependent. Most errands will need a car. And then 0 to 24 means it is definitely car dependent. Almost all your errands will need to be done by car. And now that you know the breakdown on how we're doing this, let's talk about Montgomery County itself. Montgomery County sits northwest of Washington, D.C, and it's actually the largest county in the state of Maryland, home to over 1 million residents, and it's pretty heavy with the Metro Red Line, the MARC, which is more like commuter rail coverage, and then there's also the new Purple Line, which is like considered a light rail. This is under construction, but it's planning to connect Bethesda and Silver Spring east to west, with service expected to arrive around late winter 2027. But hold that date flexible, y'all, because things happen. The main cities that we're going to talk about in this video for the lineup, right? Like, what is the city lineup that we're going to be talking about when we talk about walkability? And these are the ones that we're going to cover: Takoma Park, Silver Spring, Rockville, Gaithersburg, North Bethesda, Wheaton. And then you might want to stay to the end because there's an honorable mention there just for you. So let's start off with number 1, and that is Takoma Park. Now, Takoma Park was rated as a 70, which means it is very walkable. And I love Takoma Park, y'all. You might have seen some other videos that I've done, but Takoma Park is such a sweet place to me. It's in Montgomery County's, it's considered Montgomery County's like walkability champ with a score of 70. And here in Takoma Park, you're gonna find tree-lined streets, kind of, a lot of different shops, old town, kind of Carroll Avenue, and that Sligo Creek Trail. It's just so many things. And what I love about Takoma Park specifically is, like, if you're trying to be close to DC, you literally are next to it. Takoma Park, DC, right? And then there's Takoma Park, Maryland. And it also is very close to the Red Line station on the DC side, but a short walk from the Maryland side. Now, the cool part of Takoma Park, it is very like small town, artsy, porchy, bungalows, Victorian type community. I love it, and I always got to give a shout out to my favorite yoga studio. It's been a while since I've been there, but Willow Street Yoga, located in Takoma Park. Love them. Check them out next time you're there. And as I mentioned, the red line is near Takoma Park of the metro. And then you also have frequent buses running if you need to catch a bus. And then the purple line that is coming in 2027 will actually stop nearby at the Tacoma Langley stop. Now, when we talk about housing, you are going to find older single family homes here, and there are also going to be some small condos and even co-ops. And the typical home value is around $677,000. And let me just say too, if you're looking for new construction, it is much harder to find in Takoma Park, because while it's such a beautiful area, most of the homes are older and are going to have a little more character, right? Now, again, in terms of proximity, we've already talked about it. You're right there. Now let's talk about number 2, and that is Silver Spring. Now, the walk score of Silver Spring is actually 63. And I think it depends on where you're living, because when I first think of Silver Spring and I think of downtown Silver Spring, I would give that a much higher rating scale. But based on the 63 of overall Silver Spring, that means it's somewhat or very walkable. So downtown Silver Spring, as I was mentioning, you're going to find plazas, dining. There's a Silver Spring Theater. It's like a major transit hub, again with the red line. And then you also have the Mark Brunswick line, and the purple line will link east-west through that transit center. There's a good amount of buses that come through that area. And when you think about housing, there's a mix of high-rise condos around the downtown area, right? And then you're going to find other single-family homes kind of on the older side as well, in 1930s, 1960s, around that time being built. But those are going to be just outside that downtown area, with the average home value being around $540. And that's the average, y'all, because depending on where you're looking at Silver Spring, that price point can go up. But downtown Silver Spring sits right at the DC border. Similar to Takoma Park, there's not like Silver Spring portion of DC, but you literally can walk into the city on the border of Silver Spring. And another mention is you're also being in the Silver Spring area, depending on where you are, but you're close to Rock Creek Park, which is a beautiful, very large, but beautiful park. Now let's talk about our number 3 spot on this walkability rating, and that is Rockville. Now, Rockville has been given a walk score of 56, which means it's somewhat walkable and then has very walkable pockets. Now, this overall score 56, right? Now when we think about those walkable pockets, think more so like the Rockville Town Square and neighborhoods near Rockville, or like the Twin Brook metro stations. Again, Rockville, consistent with Takoma Park and Silver Spring, is going to be very popular for the red line. So you have 2 red line stops in Rockville. You have Rockville and Twin Brook. You also have the Mark that runs at Rockville. Now the housing in the area of Rockville is going to be mixed. You have townhomes as well as single family homes. Those are going to dominate more so, but then you also have condos, and the typical or the average home price is around $605,000. And again, depending on where you are in Rockville, that price can skyrocket up. Out of the areas we've discussed so far, Rockville is actually going to be the furthest from DC. It depends on how you're getting into DC in terms of the proximity, but in what part of DC you're going to. But it's going to be a good drive, right? Or you could just take the metro to DC. Our number 4 spot on this list of walkability areas in Montgomery County goes to Gaithersburg. Gaithersburg has been given a walkable score 52, which means it's somewhat walkable. The cool thing about Gaithersburg is that many residents are able to hop on the Mark, right? And then you also have, again, the red line, which is just south of the city, with your closest station being in that Shady Grove area. The housing varies in terms of townhomes and single family homes, and more towards like the town centers, you are going to find more condos. Now the average home price, again, there's a range out, but the average home price is around $526,000, and you're about 27 miles drive-in distance outside of DC. Now the next one actually surprised me. I thought this city was going to get higher rankings, but that's North Bethesda, and they actually ranked them a walk score of 50. And I would even say that it depends on, of course, where you're located in Bethesda, but North Bethesda averages like a 50 on this list. But that Pike and Rose district and blocks near North Bethesda, like I was mentioning, those are where you're gonna find more of like the restaurants, the retail, apartments, and all that are gonna be like, the apartments are going to be stacked over the ground floor shops. So that's where you're going to find more walkability when you're like in those specific areas. When you think about transit, you again have the red line at the North Bethesda station, and then housing, you want to think like a good amount of condos, apartments, especially by the Pike area, Pike and Rose, and then you have townhomes and single family homes more in the east and west area. Now, in terms of proximity to DC, you're going to think by car, you're going to be about 12 miles outside of DC. And out of the prices, I mean, the areas that we've discussed, that's just probably going to be the highest up there in terms of home value and what you're going to get there, and the home prices, I should say. Now let's get to our number 6 spot, and that is Wheaton is given a score of 48, meaning you're likely going to need your car, but there still are a good amount of transit options. So Wheaton was given a average score of 48, but the core around Wheaton is like the Red Line area, and then you have Georgia Avenue and University Boulevard. Those areas are going to be really dense with a lot of things that you can do and considered transit rich. Again, the Red Line, right? You have the Red Line at Wheaton, and you have one stop also at Glenmont. When you think about housing, you're going to find a mix just like with the other areas, but here you're going to find more mid-century single family homes, plus like those garden style apartments and condos, and the average home price is going to be around that $533,000. Now if you're wondering how far are you from DC, you're actually close to Silver Spring, depending on where you are in Wheaton, but you're actually 11 miles outside, driving distance, 11 miles outside of DC. Now let's get back into Bethesda. So they actually separated North Bethesda on their list in Bethesda, because Bethesda itself is actually number 7, and they're given a walk score of 45, which places them average. So again, downtown Bethesda, which I kind of already spoke to when I was spoken about North Bethesda, but downtown Bethesda is the exception, right? So Bethesda overall comes at a 45, and then the downtown Bethesda area is where you consider like truly walking district, with the Bethesda Red Line station at the center. In terms of overall transit, you have the Red Line, and then you have the future of the Purple Line, which is going to be in Bethesda. Now housing is luxury. If y'all know Bethesda, it is luxury where the money resides. But you have luxury and mid-rise condos that are like in the core of Bethesda, and you have single family homes. Now we've talked about a lot of average home prices in the $500,000 range, but in Bethesda you're talking about $1 million and up. Now your proximity from Bethesda to DC is really short. It's only 2.5 miles from DC, because you're sitting right there on the DC border. Even though we talked about these different areas, let me give you a few honorable mentions that I promised, because you stuck it out, right? You're watching through to the end. Now, Kensington isn't on the Walk Scores city list in the same way of others, and so I didn't rank it, but it's downtown area, like around that Howard Avenue. Those actually have a higher walk score of like 80 and 90, so that could be great. It could be a good fit for you. And what's kind of cool about this area is it gives charming small town Main Street vibes, and if you like vintage shops and cafes, I think you're going to find a good amount there. So even though we've kind of talked about DC a little bit, let's just do a very quick comparison of getting to DC, if that's important to you. And if there's somewhere else you want to know, like if you're like, oh, I don't want to go into DC, I want to go to Baltimore, I want to go somewhere else, let me know in the comments, we can talk about it. But ballpark distances by car to central DC, let's start off with Takoma Park in that Silver Spring area. They're on the Red Line, right? So that's really easy to get in. But Bethesda is about 6 miles or 18 miles driving. North Bethesda is going to be about 12 miles. And then Rockville is about 22 miles. Gaithersburg by car is going to be 27 miles. And then Wheaton is going to be anywhere from 9 to 11 miles. Now the Red Line, again, it covers Takoma Park, Silver Spring, Forest Glen, Wheaton, Glenmont Medical Center, Bethesda, North Bethesda, Twinbrook, Rockville, and Shady Grove. And then you have the Mark Brunswick line, which actually adds stations in the Kensington, Rockville, Gaithersburg areas, and more. Now again, you might have heard me mentioning the Purple Line. That's not, well, as filming in 2025, the Purple Line does not yet exist, but it's in the works. And the Purple Line will actually stitch together like the Bethesda, Silver Spring area, and then on to College Park and New Carrollton. And this is actually going to give Montgomery County residents a new non-downtown way to cross into the region, meaning they're not necessarily going to have to go through DC to get to their place. But again, that's not going to be out and available with it until winter of 2027. So if you want the most walkable everyday life and you want fast DC access, you really want to think Takoma Park and downtown Silver Spring. Those are going to be your top 2 bets. And if you want a city in the suburbs feel with lots of new construction, you want to look at North Bethesda, like that Pike and Rose area. And then you also want to look at Rockville Town Square. If you're more so like, that's cool, but not for me, I want quieter neighborhoods but with transit access, you want to think Wheaton and Outer Bethesda. Those might be a really good fit for you. And if you love charm and like that new urban kind of vibe, you want to think Kentlands and like Gaithersburg. So just a quick recap of like the housing, right? So the typical home values right now there's just a range and it depends on where you land, but that's just going to be the highest with the average price point being over $1 million. And then Takoma Park's up there as well, with the average home price being around $670,000. And then Rockville again is around that $605,000. Silver Spring $541,000. And then then as we continue to go down that list, we have Gaithersburg with the average home price around $526,000, and North Bethesda around $528,000, and then Wheaton around $533,000. So remember, these are market-wide medians, and so they're going to be different depending on the neighborhood and the property type, but this just kind of gives you a good understanding of like the median home price. So let me know your thoughts. What area do you feel like you could call home? What areas do you have more questions about? Go ahead and drop it in the comments and let me know your thoughts on this list. If you've lived in one of these areas or you know anything about any of these areas, do you think this list is spot on? Do you feel like these are totally wrong? What do you feel is walkable to you? I would love to know your thoughts. And again, if you have any questions, let me know. That's what I'm here for. Now, if you heard any of these and you're like, yes, that's exactly what I need in my life, Brittany, let's do it. Let's find my house in Takoma Park. Well, go ahead, hit up my contact information, whether call, email, text. Probably the best way is let's hop on a virtual call, because not only can I see your beautiful face, but that way we can talk specifically about your home goals. I can answer your questions in real time and we can get this thing going for you, right? To find your new home in Montgomery County, whether walkable or drivable, whatever you need. Other than that, I will see you on the next one.